As a spacecraft departs a planet, a tall humanoid alien undresses and drinks a black liquid from a cup, causing its body to dissolve. Its remains crumble into a waterfall, and the alien's DNA falls apart and starts to recombine. In 2089, archaeologists Elizabeth Shaw and Charlie Holloway discover a star map in a Scottish cave that matches others from several unconnected ancient cultures. They interpret this as an invitation from humanity's forerunners, the engineers. In the next scene, we see a spaceship traveling through space. An android named David monitors Elizabeth Shaw and others while they are in suspended animation. David sends messages without response. He spends time alone, learning numerous different languages and philosophies. The ship alerts David that they have reached the destination planet, which is beautiful. When David goes to monitor Meredith, he sees her pod empty. He follows the footsteps and finds her exercising. She asks how long they have been in suspended animation. He replies, 2 years. She tells him to wake everyone. Meredith, a Wyland Company executive, informs the captain that the mission briefing will start soon. All the crew members gather in the mission briefing room. Meredith shows a video recording of Peter Wyland, the elderly CEO of Wyland Corporation, who funds an expedition aboard the scientific vessel Prometheus to follow the map to the distant moon. Elizabeth and Charlie explain the reason for their mission. On Earth, there are numerous different civilizations, centuries apart with no possible way of contact, all worshipping similar alien figures. Maps from those civilizations lead them to the only habitable moon shown on the star map. They believe this is not just a map but an invitation. Elizabeth calls these aliens engineers because she believes they engineered humans. David invites Elizabeth and Charlie to Meredith's room, where they see all kinds of medical instruments, including automatic surgery machines. Meredith tells them that if they find anything on the moon, they should report back to her. All the crew members prepare to land on the moon, which has an Earth-like environment. Charlie spots a structure, and the captain lands near it. The Prometheus lands on the barren, mountainous surface near a large, artificial structure. The team explores the structure's interior with small drones. They all remove their helmets because the air inside is non-toxic. As they explore the structure, David activates symbols on the wall. They see holograms running and follow them. They discover the decapitated corpse of a large alien. Shaw determines the body is that of an engineer and retrieves its head, intending to bring it back to Prometheus. They discover a monolithic statue of a humanoid head and numerous cylinders. The crew finds other bodies, leading them to surmise that the species is 2,000 years old and extinct. Crew members Milburn and Fifield grow uncomfortable with the discoveries and attempt to return to Prometheus. The expedition is cut short when a storm forces the crew to return to the ship. David secretly takes a cylinder vase with him. The storm approaches the ship, and everyone rushes back. Elizabeth drops a bag and goes to retrieve it, getting knocked down. Charlie also goes after her, and David rescues both of them. In the next scene, we see the 2 crew members who tried to return to the Prometheus are now lost in the structure. In the ship's lab, when scientists remove the helmet from the engineer's severed head, they see a well-preserved face with strange marks. They insert a small device inside the skull. The skull comes alive, starts to bleed, and eventually explodes. Scientists test the engineer's DNA and find it matches that of humans. David investigates the contents of the cylinder and finds a black liquid. He approaches Charlie and asks how far he would go for the answers he came here for. Charlie replies, anything and everything. David intentionally taints a drink with a minute sample of the black liquid and proposes a toast to the unsuspecting Charlie, who drinks it. The lost crew members in the structure find many dead alien bodies. Their location is discovered by the captain, who informs them that the aliens might not be dead. The crew members become scared and confused. Charlie goes to Elizabeth with a rose. She tells him that humans are the descendants of the engineer species. They wonder who created the engineers, thinking they might never know. Shortly after, Shaw and Charlie have sex. Meanwhile, Meredith has a conversation with the captain and asks how long it will take to scan the structure. He replies, another hour. She invites him to her room after he asks her something. Inside the structure, The lost crew comes across a snake-like creature swimming in black liquid. They think it is a cute reptile and inform the captain. The creature attacks Milburn, squeezes his arm, and sprays a corrosive fluid that melts Fifield's helmet. Fifield falls face first into a puddle, eventually killing both of them. The crew puts on suits and goes to search for the snake-like creature and the remaining lost crew members. Meredith informs David to check a new room the drones discovered. He finds numerous cylinders, and in the next room, David turns off his camera as he enters. When the crew returns, they find Milburn's corpse. Meanwhile, Charlie sickens rapidly and is rushed back to Prometheus. David separately discovers a control room containing holographic projections of engineers operating their spaceship and preparing to launch it toward a star map highlighting coordinates to Earth. He also finds a surviving engineer in deep sleep. Meanwhile, Mission Director Meredith Vickers refuses to let Charlie aboard. At his urging, she burns him to death with a flamethrower. Later, David performs a medical scan on Elizabeth, which reveals that despite being previously infertile, she is now in an advanced stage of pregnancy. David asks whether she had intercourse with Charlie. She replies that it was only 10 hours ago and that it is impossible to be pregnant. He says it might not be a human baby. Fearing the worst, she urges David to perform an abortion, but he says he doesn't have the expertise to perform one. He injects her with a sedative. Minutes later, the remaining crew wants to transfer her to quarantine, but she acts unconscious, strikes both crew members, and runs away. She finds Meredith's room and locates an automatic surgery machine. She uses the automated surgery table to perform abdominal surgery. She climbs into the medical device, and the machine performs the surgery, extracting the squid-like alien creature from her body. After the surgery, she traps the creature inside the machine, closes its door, and kills it by gassing it. Meanwhile, the captain discovers a life form and sends 2 crew members to check it. When the 2 crew members approach the figure, they find that a monstrous, mutated Fifield has returned to the Prometheus. He attacks, killing several crewmen. The captain and the remaining crew members kill the monster by shooting and torching it with flamethrowers. In the next scene, Elizabeth discovers that Wyland, David's father, has been in stasis aboard Prometheus. She asks why he kept his presence on the ship secret. He replies that he is too old, has only a few days to live, and wants to meet with an engineer before it is too late. Dr. Elizabeth says everyone is extinct. David says, not everyone. He found a living engineer in the control room of the structure. Wyland explains that he wants to ask the engineers how not to die from old age and all the questions about human creation. The captain comes to Elizabeth and speculates that the structure was actually an engineer military base that lost control of a virulent biological weapon. He says they should not return to that place. She says David found a living engineer and that the reason for their arrival here is to find answers to their creation. He says he doesn't care anymore, under no circumstance will he allow the biological weapon or the structure to leave this place. She agrees with him on that point. In the next scene, Meredith goes to Wyland and argues with him about changing the natural order of life. It is revealed that she is his daughter. Wyland and the team return to the structure, accompanied by Dr. Elizabeth. The captain and Meredith discover that a ship is present in the structure. David says the ship was about to leave the moon for Earth before the biological weapon leaked. She asks him why the engineers were preparing to take the ship to Earth. David says, one must destroy to create something new. David wakes the engineer from deep sleep and speaks to him in Proto-Indo-European language to try to explain what Wyland wants. The engineer responds by decapitating David and killing Wyland and his team. He pushes Elizabeth aside, and she runs away. After watching the incident, Meredith and the captain want to return to Earth. The engineer reactivates the spacecraft with holographic coordinates pointing to Earth. Elizabeth desperately flees and warns the captain that the engineer is planning to release the biological weapon on Earth to exterminate all life forms, convincing him to stop the spacecraft. The captain orders the crew members to charge their weapons despite Meredith's objection, and they fly their spaceship as the engineer's ship flies before them. Meredith escapes the Prometheus by escape pod. The captain and the remaining crew members sacrifice themselves by ramming the Prometheus into the alien craft with a blast. The engineer's disabled spacecraft crashes, and parts fall to the ground. Elizabeth and Meredith run for their lives, but the ship crushes Meredith, killing her. Injured, Elizabeth goes to the lifeboat and gathers some supplies but hears a sound from behind a door. When she looks through the door, she finds that her alien offspring is alive and has grown to a gigantic size. David calls and informs Elizabeth that the engineer is coming for her. The engineer forces open the lifeboat's airlock and attacks Elizabeth, who releases her alien offspring onto him. It grabs the engineer and deposits eggs down his throat, subduing him. Elizabeth escapes, crying over losing everyone and being stranded on the moon. David contacts Elizabeth and asks for her help. She asks why she should help him. He replies that without him, she will never leave this place. She says there is no way for anybody to leave. He says there are many ships on the moon, and he knows how to operate them. Elizabeth asks about her necklace. She asks David whether he knows the navigation of the engineer's ship. He says he does, once he finds another ship. She recovers David's head in a bag and intends to reach the engineer's home world in an attempt to understand why they wanted to destroy humanity. With David's help, she launches another engineer spacecraft and departs from the moon. In the lifeboat left on the planet, an alien creature bursts out of the dead engineer's chest and growls. The movie ends here.
Please like and subscribe.